If I were to ask you to name one game that you would expect to be on the PlayStation Classic, most people would say Crash Bandicoot, or Tomb Raider, or Spyro the Dragon, or Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or Parappa the Rappa. None of those are on the PlayStation Classic. In fact, the vast majority of these games don't make any sense whatsoever. I've been digging through this list and looking at all of them all morning long and saying, what the hell were they thinking? JT. So we got Cool Borders 2, which is the vastly superior game to the original Cool Borders. Yet they gave us Twisted Metal and not Twisted Metal 2, which is the vastly superior game in that series. Some of the decisions are perplexing, to put it nicely, and some of the games that aren't included on the United States and European versions that are on the Japanese version, like Saga Frontier and Parasite Eve, are for some reason not on the United States and European releases. It couldn't make the cut of 20 games. It couldn't possibly be a licensing issue, because if Square Enix gave them the rights to do it in Japan, why would they say you can't do that in America? So Sony made some odd choices when it came to the game releases on the PlayStation Classic. Not to say that they're all terrible, there are some sincerely good games on the PlayStation Classic, like Metal Gear Solid or Intelligence Cube, or hell, even Persona, the Revelations version of Persona, which goes for over $170 on eBay, is included on the PlayStation Classic. So it's not all doom and gloom, but for the most part, I don't know, and I say this a lot, who the target audience is for this thing. Who is Sony going for? If they're going for the casual gamer, the old school nostalgia, someone who played the original PlayStation when it first came out and wanted to relive those days of great gameplay and incredible experiences with these polygons and 3D environments, where the hell is Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Tomb Raider? Hell, even Toomba is not on here. There are so many incredible, classic, basic PlayStation games that should be on this list and are not. And the notably absent games are missing from all regions. And yet somehow, even though Japan got different games than America and US, they're always better than what we have to deal with. And unfortunately, most of them are role-playing games, and most of them don't have any kind of translations available. So if you're going to be importing a Japanese PlayStation Classic, you're gonna be lost unless you know these games from front to back anyways. People may say that Final Fantasy VII is a great quality game that added on to the PlayStation Classic launch lineup, but it's already available on PC, Steam, it's already available on iOS, it's on phones, it's on game consoles. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII yet, you can get it via download on the PlayStation 3 via the PSN network. This brings up a whole new point of, why the hell are they putting these games on the PlayStation Classic, yet not letting people download them from the PlayStation Store onto their PlayStation 4s? And if it's in the name of sales, then that is just awful business practice. It goes along the lines of what Sony was doing with the whole Fortnite crossplay thing, or should I say lack thereof, where they were thinking they were too big to fail and not needing to do crossplay with everybody else. And then the media started picking up on it and gamers started to talk, and then Sony changed their mind and their approach to the whole crossplay thing. With this PlayStation Classic situation, I feel like that entire situation is rearing its ugly head once again. Many of the games that are included on this PlayStation Classic, first off, don't bring up any nostalgia to people whatsoever. I could go the rest of my life without playing Cool Borders 2 again. Even though it was a good game, far better games have come out since then, and I never really had much nostalgia for that series anyways. I don't know why that is, but it's a decent game. I just don't want to go back and play an original polygon version of a snowboarding game. It seems to be going beyond the casual gamer, but not as intense as the hardcore gamer. They're looking for some sort of middle ground here that I'm not sure really exists beyond selling for the holiday season, where somebody would go into Walmart or Target and see one of these on the shelf and say, hey, little Billy used to play PlayStation back when he was a kid. This is cool. I bet this is a good gift for him. Outside of giving this as a gift to people, I can't imagine too many people that played the original PlayStation lining up on day one to go out and grab this thing. There's nothing that makes me want to have it. When you had something like the Super Nintendo Classic, Nintendo did something very special with that. They released a game that was never released previously. Star Fox 2, and oh my god, that got everybody talking. It gave people a reason to get excited about the system. It gave people a reason to go out and buy the system when it came out to release. It gave people a reason to play the system and experience a game that they've never had the chance to play in the past. That was truly unique. And in addition to that, they also had a bunch of the games that you would have hoped and expected to be on the Super Nintendo Classic to harken back to the days of nostalgia when you used to plug it into your old TV and play it. The PlayStation Classic doesn't seem to have anything like that. Now, yes, like I said, there are a few good games on this thing, but to justify a $100 price tag for this, I just don't see it. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but I'm standing by my original opinion in the video that I made saying, I don't see this thing selling much beyond the Christmas season. I don't think there's a reason for many gamers to go out of their way to pick this thing up. If you want to play these games, they're already available on the PlayStation TV and the PlayStation 3, and God forbid Sony allows these games to be downloadable on the PlayStation 4, which everybody would love to have and be willing to spend money on. No, they don't want to do that. They want to make sure they can sell you a separate system and make double the money. Good for you, Sony. As far as the gamers are concerned, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be speaking with their wallets and not making this purchase. That's not to say it's a bad thing, I just think it's overpriced for what you're getting. Ridiculous the games that are on it, or how it doesn't even come with an AC adapter port for the USB plug. There's so many things that I'm pissed off about with this PlayStation Classic, having the original controllers instead of the DualShock. There's a number of things that could have been changed about this that aren't. And now that the game list is out and it's not blowing me away by any means, it's just another nail in the coffin for the long-term success of the PlayStation Classic. I don't mean to be coming off so negative when I'm making this video, and a lot of people might hear me and think that I'm just hating on Sony and PlayStation brand just for the hell of it. But in all honesty, I feel like they royally screwed up the potential for something that could have sold millions and millions of consoles by some pretty boneheaded decisions. People might say, oh, you can't get the licensing for all those games. These companies won't approve those licenses. Really? Come on now. Crash Bandicoot, Sony, they couldn't have made that work? Trust me, these companies talk. They can figure out how to get games on systems if they're willing to pay for them. And it seems like Sony was going the cheap route here of just getting the publishers that would be on board for the least amount of money possible to put these games into it. Now, they didn't put any sports titles really on it, which is good, but most of these games are a step above that. Outside of Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII, which you can get pretty much anywhere, these games are fairly generic. What Sony should have done to fix this situation is imagine if it came with one DualShock controller and expandable memory and an online connection where you could actually purchase and download games that you want. And the thing that frustrates me the most about all of this is the games that they got with the Japanese version is far superior to the games that are coming out with the US and EU region releases. Which, to me, with how much memory costs, and I know people will say, oh, these game discs take up more space than the ROMs for the NES and Super Nintendo. BS! They're charging you $100 for this thing, and memory doesn't cost that much money. You can't tell me they couldn't fit 8 more games on this system. And you can't tell me it's because of licensing, because they got the games approved to sell. So, really, all they're doing is changing the audience for who they think this is for, instead of giving the gamers what they want. Japanese gets a ton more role-playing game, more intense, more quality games. Parasite Eve is on there, yet the US and EU doesn't get Parasite Eve. They don't get Saga Frontier. They don't get Arc the Lad 1 and 2 or Devil Dice. So many games that should have been on the universal worldwide release, they decide to piecemeal out and put into separate regions, which, for the life of me, I will never understand. I'm wondering how much extra memory is on this thing. Probably not very much. If people decide they find a way to jailbreak these and are able to do that, if people would even want to go through the work of actually doing that, great, but then you'd be deleting games to fill up with other games, and then you'd be changing exactly what the thing is in the first place, and that's even more of a hardcore gamer audience at that point. So again, I don't know who this is for. I don't know who's going to be buying it. I don't know why some of these hardcore nostalgia experiences from the original PlayStation are for some reason lacking on the system. I don't know what they were thinking. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Are you interested in the original PlayStation Classic? Are you going to pick one of these up? Do you feel like it's a good investment or purchase to just be able to plug and play some of these games? Or would you rather pick up a PlayStation 3 or PS TV and be able to, I don't know, pick the games you want and be able to play them with a DualShock controller instead? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.